trying to make an art bat using my Louette XL drum carder. It has a 12-inch wide girth on this. Here you have your liquor in. You've got your big drum. This one is about a 90 TPI. Comes with dolphin pin to use when we need to take off our bat. Also comes with a dolphin brush. One of my biggest issues, it's dirty, but that's okay, is I am not fond of this brush. It has really big teeth, and I find that it kind of tears at what I have on here, even if I'm just doing alpaca or something simple, even to my art bats. So, for $3, I went to Walmart, and I bought myself a cat brush. The cat brush works perfectly well. The teeth are a lot softer. If you look, these things, you know, hurt somebody with this one. This one, I can stick my hand on. No big deal. Much nicer. Like it a lot better. Recommend it. So what we're going to start with is simply some torn up pieces of colored roving. I have a monster box sitting over here of just trash. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it and I'm going to pull it a little bit and I'm going to break it up. Now this is how I do it. You can watch somebody like Jazz Turtle, Ashley Martineau with Nouveau Fiber Arts, and she does a great job, and she sandwiches. Totally her style. I like it. Not for me. I pull my colors short, ready to go, because if I put this big piece in, or even bigger, it's going to wrap all the way around this, and I'm not going to be able to control that or get that off. You also want to take your wool, and see, it's kind of compact. You want to give them a little fluff, pull them apart a little bit. You don't want to put a big straight piece like that in there, you know. It sounds annoying almost to sit and take that much time, but you will not be regretting it later when you can easily slide this through your drum carder. I have a really big mix of colors. We're going to put them in there. We're going to make what I refer to as a trash bat. I love to spin these. They're fun. You can put a lot of things like sorry silk threads. You can put in things like these awesome neon Lincoln locks that I've got from Marybeth Fiber Studios. Jenny McKenzie is awesome. One of my good friends. You're going to put in nylon maybe. Love the sparkle on this one. I've even got some crazy hot pink fire star that we're going to put in here. So much fun with sparkle. I'm a big sparkle girl. I like that kind of thing. So we're going to start with this. We're going to take it. This is actually some superwash BFL from a local Texas farmer. And these are just my ends. This is my personal stash off this one. A lot of the other stuff, I just find people that have, you know, leftovers that they don't want. Like this little jar here. This is my personal jar when I first started spinning of ends and things of that nature. So keep them. You can always do something with them. If you're not a needle felter and you got a drum carder, you can go to town. So we're going to start by putting whatever color we like first right up here underneath the liquor. We're going to take them apart. Now this one, it's too long. Just simply take him, pull him apart. Now he's perfect to go in there. So we're going to put a few in there. Make sure you go all the way across your drum carder. Okay. And this may seem like it's going to take a while. It does, but the end result is beautiful. So here's our first step. I'm going to grab the crank and I'm just going to start cranking. And it's going to pull it in on its own. And it's going to start spreading them out. That one didn't get taken in. We'll just throw them in there. They'll get there eventually. If he doesn't want to, carefully stick your hand underneath there and crank them up. Not much on there. No big deal. You can see that some of our fibers have stuck here. We're going to get that on later. So I'm just going to quickly go to town by taking all this stuff up, ripping it up, sticking it in. Now, if I wanted more of a consistent colorway, I have like a theme. I say I want something desert and sunset and pretty. I'm going to choose those type of rovings, those type of colors to make it look like that. I have one I made the other day called a rose garden. Oh my gosh, it was so pretty. It had all kinds of greens and rose colors blended into it and a little bit of sparkle. Here I've already pulled these apart. And we're going to put those in. We're going to crank it up. Very pretty colors, and you continue to do the same thing. I will admit that things like layering are a little easier because you're not spending time taking it apart and putting it in. You have a consistent crank. Here, this takes a little bit longer. But if you're going to do certain colors, say you want to do a rainbow effect, this way, in my opinion, is much easier because you can align the colors you want whenever you want. You cannot make a sandwich and get a rainbow effect. It does not work that way that I have seen. Now, if somebody else has got a video for it, they're probably doing a really good job on it. Now, you'll notice up here, you can see some of the nails a little farther down. Some of them you can see the fabric on top. So, I'm going to take my little $3-4 Walmart brush. You can tell he's been well loved. And I am going to burnish the art bat. Hand on, crank. There. Now, all my fibers are even. Another thing you can do is take your burnishing brush, hold it upside down. It will catch a little bit. That's okay. And you're actually pulling off all these. If they don't want to come off, take them off yourself. Just work backwards. Place it back onto the drum, put them on. So now we're going to get some, my favorite color, some gorgeous purples. Pull some more rovings apart. Now at any given time, we can add sparkle. I will say though, that things like Angelina, Sari silk threads, things of that nature, I prefer to add them last, or I prefer to add them right in the middle and be ready to go with a layer of roving on top. Because you go to do these beautiful threads and they're pretty much going to catch right here. So be ready to just do 1 or 2 cranks around and be ready to put something on top of them to hold them onto your bat. So here we go with another round. And I remember the first time I used this, I didn't believe the girl and I didn't put the locks on and about ripped it off the table. So if you have a larger drum carder that takes some good hefty crank, please make sure you put it on the table. All right. And this big XL, I know it looks huge and you're thinking, oh, that's going to make a monster bat. You can. I've made a 7.1 ounce bat of straight alpaca. And I've also made a small little 1.5 ounce art bat that worked just fine. So here we go. Crank it in. Now we're looking, you see how this is sticking up here? We're going to need to put our doffer on, my little Walmart brush, and brush them down. Alright, now to check to see if you think, oh, I didn't measure mine rovings beforehand, I don't know how much is on here. Find where your doffer brush line is and feel it. It feels a little thin here. We've got some thicker bumps. In my opinion, it's not ready to come off. There's not enough on here. So I'm going to go find some other things in my box and I'm going to rip them up and we're going to put them on. Okay? Because if I don't have a big enough bat, I find that it falls apart and pretty much just gets stuck to your drum carder, and then you start crying because you feel like you've ruined the art bat. So put some green in, fluff them up a little bit, and I'm sure my cameraman is having a good time over there listening to me jabber on. So here we go. Put some teal colors in here. I still have more of that, so I'm going to add some more. And I'm also going to put some really crazy neon colored Lincoln locks in here in a little bit that I love. Now here you'll see that piece stuck. Pick it up. There's a technique and a term called painting on. We're going to set that aside for a minute. I'm going to show you how to paint. One of my favorite things to put in a bat is Angora. Love Angora. Soft, pretty. I know there are people that don't like barber pole effect. I love barber pole. I don't know, it just speaks to me. But we're going to paint. This is just roving. I'll show you Angora in a minute. You're going to catch it on, and you're just going to rotate. And it's going to take it right out of your hand. Because down here, it's getting stuck. So I'm going to take some gorgeous white Angora from Joey over at Cottage Dye Works. Okay? Take it in my hand, and we're just going to, I usually put my thumb down a little bit, pick up my thumb somewhere else, and let it catch. You'll notice here in a minute, if I've got big clumps of it, but it's going to stick to this liquor. It's alright. Just pick it up, take it off. put it right back on. Not a big deal. Alright. Let's do one more round of some crazy colors. Let's see here. Let's pull some of this little thin strips here. And remember, if you've got a big piece of roving, they can be kind of difficult to take apart. Little thinner strips work very much better. If you have something felted, get it as thin down as you can and just throw it in the drum carder. I mean, if you've ruined the die, it's okay. It can be salvaged with your drum carder. Alright, we're going to do one more round of burnishing. And I am going to throw in some of this lovely nylon that I love. And you can paint on quick. You can just touch and pull, touch and pull. I'm just going to put a little bit of sparkle. I don't want to put too much in there because I'm about to put some Angelina in too, but I said I'd put pink in. So here's our Angelina. Really, really, really long piece. I prefer to just grab the end here, wad this up in my hand so it doesn't get caught in here. We're going to do the same technique. It's got a really short staple. You're just going to be able to drag it through and paint it on. Try not to paint on something over this little piece because you'll find when you go to take it off that you can't flip it up very well. So, paint on some crazy like I just did. That will make it work. Paint on our paint. And then I'm going to come in with my neon locks. Neon locks are going to be fun. They're not going to match at all. That's totally okay. I'm going to grab some. Okay, we're going to back and lay them at the bottom. Locks, like I said. One of the things that you're going to find that if you don't layer, that your Lincoln locks don't always want to get taken in by the drum carder. So you use your brain and you kind of gently, and I have bigger hands, so it might be easier. You might have to do it in 2 shots if you have smaller hands. I'm going to take them and I'm going to lay them in my hand. And I'm actually going to put my hand somewhat underneath here and kind of stick them in and wait as the drum carder goes up. Alright, so I did that like a crazy person, and there they are. And if they get stuck, just pick them up. There's no right or wrong to this. If you want more open lock structure and you want to see them, and say you're selling this bat, I recommend taking it and just putting the locks on the side from the spinner to be able to purchase or to pick up themselves. Okay, these are stretched out are pretty good. You're only gonna get in there these little curls on the end when you go to spin it. I'm gonna burnish it. Some people would not. Personal preference. I find in spinning and making things that it is preference and it is what you want to do and how you want it to look, and it's, you know, people will like it or people won't like it. So I'm gonna burnish upside down because I want to catch what's left on the drum carder or on the liquor, and that will help burnish in the locks and pick up at the same time. Alright, so I have that done. Okay, there. I can come here. I'm gonna agree that that is done. So if you were desperate and you didn't have a, you know, you wanted to use all your fiber, you can take, now this is where this big bad scary thing comes in handy. Get the alpaca off there that I had on there the other day. Take this and you can pull, I basically like flicking open a lock, pull it all up and clean it off. You're gonna have this and you can just put that back on. Now what I do, I'm totally gonna be in the way, is I have this lovely little bag that I keep all my fuzz off in. A needle filter one day, or if I ever get brave, will be able to use this for anything. These are basically all the cleanings that I have off of my drum carder. So now we've agreed that the bat is ready to be taken off. So I'm gonna get my nasty little poker dolphin pin here, okay? If you don't have a dolphin pin, you can simply use a knitting needle. Please don't use the expensive, nice Harmony wood, but get a metal one. I don't have any metal straights. And just slide it underneath and take it off. This came with the Luette. So we're going to start here. Okay, and this little wooden thing here has a little groove. That's what this is made for. Pay attention. Don't hit your cloth. You're going to gouge that cloth. Excuse excuse me, and it is not cheap to replace. So use your doffer pin, slide it in, pushing kind of at an angle so you're getting underneath all of them, and pull up. And come all the way across, pulling up as you go. Get to the end, pull it up. Now, you want to kind of make sure these guys are separated. Okay, so this is going to be the opposite end. Here's what we carded up. The cool thing is I call them Tootsie Rolls. It's like a gigantic roll lag, but you're going to be able to take this off and you're going to be able to curl it back on itself. So you're going to take your hands and just, can you see that? Uh-huh. You're going to have to take your hands and rotate it up. Okay? Rotate it. Now, see all this sticking? That's where the doffer pin also comes in handy. Take your doffer. Now, I said be careful. Come down here. Just pick it up. It's going to pick all those pieces up for you and lay them back into your art bat. Okay? So using your hands. Now I'm doing this at an awkward angle because the cameraman says that I'm kind of in the way. But normally I would come over here and rotate myself. So you're going to be able to see this come off. Again, take your pen, slide it nicely across, and pick up the pieces. If you don't care, don't do it. It does, again, all preference. Now a lot of the times over here on the sides, it'll stick a lot too. Just pick her up. Alright, so roll back. And for the sake of time, I'm going to stand in front and do it real quick. Alright, so here we go. Got a little more rolling. Again, picking up. When you go to make an art bat sometimes, say you want a main color on the bottom, you can go ahead and just run that main color on the bottom and it will actually give you a good base to be able to remove the fibers from the drum carder. In another video, you're going to see me card alpaca, straight alpaca, and it goes through the carder more than once. And the first time you card it, you're probably going to want to cry because it doesn't come off real easy, but by the time you get done, you are good to go. So here we go. Still taking it off. That superwash is being a pain. Slide it across. Get this green over here. Pink, pink, pink. Okay, and we're already to the top. Gonna roll it right off. So here we go. All right, I'm gonna show you that if you roll too tightly, you're going to make a gigantic roll lag. This is not what we're looking for right now, okay? We don't need a big roll lag. We actually want a bat. So be careful to make sure that you've taken this piece off nicely. And we're gonna unroll. Can you see it? And here is, excuse me, one side of the bat, okay? And if we roll it over, you're gonna see the other colors that we put on first, okay? So here is the bat that we have. See all the pretty locks? You've got your Angelina, and there's a lock there and things like that, okay? So that is how we make an art bat. And when you're done, I prefer to fold it in half with the pretty side out. And